Hello, and welcome to another video. Today I'll be showing you my pre-release kit from last weekend's Final Fantasy Prerelease. I'll show you around the deck that I played. We can look at the cards that I opened but didn't play. And then at the end, I have 5 prize packs that I won, and we can open these up together. Let's get right into it. To start, we can take a look at the box itself. I thought this looked really nice. It's got Final Fantasy up on the top here. And some characters on the back. We've got some stylized planeswalker symbols on the sides. And let's open it up. For playing in the pre-release, I got this really pretty little D10. And of course the standard D20 spin down. Up front we've got the deck that I played. So I'll just take a moment and lay it all out for you. All right, here is the deck that I played. It's kind of just black-white stuff. No real unifying theme in here, I don't think. My record with this was 2-0-1, meaning I won 2 rounds, I drew a round, and I had no losses. So I guess we can kind of examine this starting left to right. Starting with the 1-mana spells, and I guess the non-basic land as well. You're Not Alone was a pretty decent combat trick. I was able to do the +4/+4 a couple times, but even as a +2/+2, it was still pretty good. Fatal Push was excellent. There were definitely plenty of targets for it, and the Revolt was easy to achieve, especially with so many saga creatures taking themselves out and things like that. And then the Gold Saucer was the only town that I played. I honestly thought I would be activating the card draw ability, but I never ended up doing that. So it really just ended up being a colorless land. Looking at the 2-mana spells, Vane's Treachery again was some pretty decent removal. The -2/2 was often able to get rid of a lot of early creatures, or allowed me to win combat. And kicking it to get the -6/6 allowed me to deal with most creatures. Dwarven Castle Guard and Undercity Dire Rat were both excellent with Vane's Treachery. As a 2-for-1, you could either sacrifice the creature itself, or the token that either of these leave behind. So those all worked really well together. The cat is a pretty standard tapper. I don't think I ever activated it, but seems like a fine way to manage a large creature until you're able to draw into removal for it. And then Reno and Rude was pretty good. Even just as a 2/1 menace creature, if it came in early, it was able to get in a decent amount of damage. And again, a great use of the Castle Guard or the Dire Rat if you want to play your opponent's cards. For the 3-mana cards, I had 3 creatures and 3 equipment, 2 of which were rare. I really enjoyed Job Select as a mechanic. I feel like I played Paladin's Arms almost every game. A 3-mana 3/2 with Ward 1 felt absolutely fine. The 4-mana equip cost was a little high, but if I had the mana to spare, putting this on a larger creature felt pretty good. The Ninja Blades were pretty decent also, though I didn't play them terribly often. This did have the unfortunate effect of turning whatever creature it was on into a lightning rod, because my opponents really didn't want this effect to happen, so kind of had to be careful about that. The Masamune I can't really comment on. I sadly never got to cast it, so don't really know how that performs. The creatures all felt pretty decent. This probably wasn't the best deck for Snow Villagers. So for me it was often just a 3/3 or a 2/3 Vigilance, which was fine, but probably not the optimal build for this. And I feel the same about the Chocomog, really. The 3-mana 3/3 was totally fine, and I enjoyed giving the +1/+0 to other creatures, but without going super wide, I kind of felt like I wasn't taking full advantage of it. And then the Ahriman, again, totally fine. I really didn't mind trading this off for something bigger, or sacrificing something small to draw a card. I really enjoyed both of the 4-mana non-creature spells that I had. This maybe would have been a bit more expensive than I would want to pay for either of these effects, but the little benefits like gaining 2 life or being able to tap for mana made me feel a little bit better about it. I especially liked that the White Auracite could deal with any non-land permanent, so you're not just limited to creatures there. For the 4-mana creatures, the Primal Garuda I kind of struggled with a bit, which I think was probably just a fluke, but timing it so that the first chapter would actually destroy a creature just wasn't really working out for me. So just kind of some awkwardness with this one. The Minwu was totally fine. Obviously a 4-mana 2/4 isn't too impressive, but the lifelink was nice to help me stabilize a couple times. And sadly I never really got to draw any cards off of it, but I suppose it was kind of doing its job then by preventing my opponent from doing things like attacking with more than one creature or casting more than one spell per turn. So there is that. Jekt was my pre-release promo. I played it one time, but I did successfully flip it, and from there it allowed me to win the game. The 7/7 Menace was enough to deal with all of their creatures without dying itself, so that I could get through and end the game. And lastly, everything that was 5 or more mana. The Xenosi Galvis was hands down the MVP of this deck. I happened to have him in a lot of games and was able to play him on turn 5 and reliably flip him over, often the very next turn after he came down. He did unfortunately get rid of a lot of my own creatures, but honestly it did not matter whatsoever. So yeah, as long as you have a way to get rid of his chosen creature, it just becomes a flying 8/8 dragon, and for me that meant closing out a lot of games, or at least putting my opponent down significantly enough that I was able to sweep up afterward. And truly this is just an 8/8 flyer. It dies to a lot of removal. Really, from what I observed from playing this deck and from what my opponents were playing, Having good removal options in your back pocket is going to be pretty key for this format. Thanks to cards like these, I was able to deal with a Primeval Titan. I was able to get rid of a Sin. You know, things that would have made my life a whole lot more difficult. But making sure that I had these was very important for my own survival. So if my opponents had had something like that, then this would not have been able to run away with the game the way that it did. But yeah, absolutely loved this card. The Malboro, a 6-mana 4/4, but the other effects I think were pretty good. Side quest Hunt the Mark was a 5-mana removal spell. I thought I might be able to transform it, knowing that I had the Gold Saucer and the Dire Rat. But unfortunately never did, so I missed out on a 5/6 dragon. The Summon Anima was pretty decent. I even played this when I was only at 3 life and I still won the game, so props to that. And last but not least, a card that I only got to play one time, but was absolutely my favorite of the entire event. The Knights of Round. My opponent was somehow able to hold on for 3 waves of knights, but did succumb before we got to Chapter 5. I did have some reservations about running this card, knowing that it was 8 mana, but really this format was slow enough, at least in Sealed, that getting up to 8 mana wasn't too difficult. And this is just going to dump so many creatures onto the board that it is going to win you the game unless they can really do something about it. So yeah, that was my deck. Let me clear this out real quick and then we can take a look at the remaining cards that I didn't play. Here's the little divider that they gave us. Our store made us into hero tokens. So here are some of the final cuts that I made from my deck. I was really hoping to be able to splash green with the 2 green towns that I had plus the world map. But in hindsight, I'm happy with what I played and I'm glad I stayed in white-black. These didn't necessarily synergize with that. I just thought they looked pretty good. Here are the black cards that I didn't play. I thought maybe I would side in one of these, but felt totally fine not doing that. the 2 white cards that I didn't play. Again, I thought I might side this one in, but didn't end up doing that. These were my remaining multicolored cards. None of these really pulled me in a particular direction. Maybe I could have tried to splash Dovin's Veto, but didn't really have much support for that. Here's what I had for green. I did consider trying white green or black green, but it wasn't really shaping up the way that I wanted, so I just took the couple that you saw before and ignored the rest. Here is the red. I did like how some of this was looking as well, and there were a couple rares that I would have liked to try, but not a very deep color, and some pretty demanding mana costs up here. The remaining colorless cards, a couple of towns, and the adventurer's airship. I thought about running this, but just didn't really feel like I had room for a vehicle. And finally, the blue cards. There is definitely some good stuff in here, but quite honestly, I didn't have any blue rares, so I wasn't that excited about it. And when I was looking at the rares that we had in black and white, those were what I was really excited to try, so I did end up writing off blue pretty quickly. In hindsight, maybe we could have gotten in a couple of these. But anyway, that is all for the remaining cards in my pool. I think it's time that we take a look at the prize packs. Alright, so for my record of 2 wins and 1 draw, I got 5 prize packs. Just barely not enough for another sealed deck, but let's see what we got. I won't read off all of the names because I'm sure I'm going to butcher a ton of them. Ooh. We've got a Timna. That's exciting. And a Tifa Lockhart. That would be fun for some landfall build around. Awesome. Alright. On to our second pack. Oh wow. A chromatic lantern. I can definitely put that to use. And the rare is Midgar, City of Mako. Cool. On to our third pack. Ooh, we've got another adventure town. Ishgard, the Holy Sea. Sorry for my shaky hands. The rare is hope as theme, as time, something like that. And Venat, heart of the Hydaelyn, and it becomes Hydaelyn, the mother crystal, a 4/4 god. Cool. And on to our last pack. And we've got a mythic, MtG Unsundered. Okay. And he turns into Hades, Sorcerer of Veld. Very cool. Cute. All right. There we have it. Thank you so much for joining me today for a look around my pre-release kit from the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set. If you went out and played in a pre-release, I want to hear all about how that went for you. Tell me about the deck that you built or any awesome rares that you opened. Any plans for building a commander deck or anything like that? I would love to hear it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, I would absolutely love it if you would give it a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll be back with new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos every Monday and Friday. I truly appreciate all of your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.